Alcohol-infused butter, clarified butter, butter boards? You think you know butter, but there are many reasons why it always tastes better at a restaurant that will surprise you.
Fresh creamery butter. Is there anything more comforting?
How long does it take you to get through a pack of butter? Does it hang around in your fridge waiting to top baked potatoes, roasted corn, or toast? In a busy professional kitchen, ingredients are ordered all the time because there's a greater turnover, and butter certainly doesn't sit around half-used for a long time. Butter often tastes better when you're eating it at a restaurant simply because it's super fresh. Another important factor is that a lot of chefs like to keep fresh butter at room temperature rather than in the refrigerator. They might do this so that it's soft enough to add to a mixer when baking. Butter that's stored out of the fridge tastes better too. It's creamier and the buttery flavor is richer. Diners notice the flavor way more than they would if they were served cold hard butter from the chiller that had been hanging around for a while. Some restaurants serve little packets of butter rather than a pat. Because these are sealed, they tend to be a lot fresher too. Chefs may use large packs of butter in the kitchen, and these are less likely to deteriorate as quickly as smaller ones bought for your home. Butter can be kept at room temperature for up to 10 days. However, the quality will go down after a couple of days. When you order pancakes at a restaurant for breakfast or brunch, do you love a pat of butter on top? As it melts, it spreads out over the top of the stack and drips down as it soaks into the doughy delights. As if this wasn't mouthwatering enough, chefs often use a simple technique that makes buttery pancakes even better. They whip the butter. You still get the same taste, but whipped butter is basically lighter and has a softer, more aerated consistency. This creates a wonderful flavor and also helps the butter melt quickly into your pancakes. Other ingredients can be whipped into the butter too. Part of the joy of eating out is in the presentation of dishes, and whipped butter looks so much fancier than a plain pat of butter that's had no chef work done on it. Some chefs prefer buttery tasting margarine, which melts into the dish easily too. If you have a stand mixer and want to give this restaurant-style whipped butter method a try, then whipped honey butter is a great recipe. You don't need to be a butter expert to know that not all types of butter are created equal, and one of the reasons butter always tastes so much better when eating at a restaurant is that chefs know this. Pro cooks may stock up on different kinds of butter for when they are making a sauce or dip or glazing some vegetables. They may have a type of butter they only use for baking, and another one that they serve to diners with a roll before the appetizers, main meals, and sides come to the table.
They want you to take the rolls!
European butter, for example, has a richer flavor because it generally contains more butterfat than butter made in the US. Irish butter, specifically, is wonderfully creamy and has a yellow hue. That's because of the lush pastures the cows graze on, which affects the different nutrients in the dairy produce.
No better place to be a cow, they say.
There are other types of butter available too, from grass-fed butter to salted butter with flakes of sea salt and cultured butter made with live cultures. Have you ever tried putting a little butter on a juicy steak along with some seasoning? It might taste good, but when you have it at a restaurant, the butter seems to taste even better. It appears more solid and has other ingredients incorporated into it seamlessly. It takes longer to melt and has a rounded and neat appearance. That's because it's not just regular butter from a tub or packet, it's compound butter, which is specially used for finishing dishes. Herbs and spices are mixed in with softened, unsalted butter. Then it's rolled into a sausage shape in some grease-proof paper, which is twisted at both ends to dispel any air. The tightly wrapped roll is chilled. Chefs then unwrap it and cut herby butter discs from the log to add on top of dishes just before serving. One great combination is a brown butter log with tarragon and pink grapefruit. Another compound butter recipe you might want to check out is a simple garlic butter. You can add this to grilled meats and baked potatoes, or add some to a bowl of luxurious mashed potatoes. Meanwhile, a perfectly grilled flank steak goes great with chilled slices of unsalted butter mixed with chopped parsley and garlic. Lemon zest can be added for a citrus punch that brightens the herby flavor. Butter gets mixed reviews. People talk about its dairy content and high fat, even though there are other options like low-fat spreads and plant-based ones. However, butter is not losing popularity. Instead, it's making a comeback, with flavored butter being trendy. Chefs who give butter some extra flavor know that this is why their fancy restaurant blends always taste better. Menus have started featuring flavored butter, and you'll find some intriguing options. Seaweed butter, like kombu butter, adds an umami kick. Chefs get creative with ingredients like sambal, black truffle, and pepperoni. And how about butter flavored with bourbon, molasses, maple, or cloves? Sweet variations are there too, and they don't have to be complicated. Simple combinations like pink Himalayan salt with chives create a tasty, salty, and peppery butter. The possibilities are endless, from miso and poppy seed to chili and lime, and even bacon and cheese. So many exciting flavors to explore. Restaurant chefs have secret techniques to make butter incredibly delicious. One of them is brown butter, which tastes like liquid, creamy goodness. Properly browned butter requires the right type of pan and the right temperature, so that the butter melts, foams, and changes color and flavor. Chefs use stainless steel over medium heat to keep the butter from burning. They move the pan at the right time to control the heat and the bubbles. As soon as it's done, the brown butter needs to be taken off the heat and poured into a dish that's not hot. It takes practice to make sure the temperature of the butter doesn't go over 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Chefs whisk the butter as it heats up to keep it from getting too hot. Brown butter is used by pastry chefs to make sweet French pastries, and it's great poured over some delicious al dente pasta. Mashed potatoes always taste better at a restaurant for a variety of reasons. The leading one is that chefs don't skimp on the butter. They know that melted butter makes mash smooth, velvety, and creamy. It isn't just an add-on ingredient, but integral to making mashed potatoes. As a general guideline, you might want to think about adding a couple of ounces of butter per large potato. Some chefs like to heat the butter along with cream before adding it to the potatoes. Chefs might favor using European butter as it's higher in fat, and this results in a more buttery flavor. Mashed potatoes taste better if butter is added to dry potatoes, so chefs who prep dishes well in advance might leave cooked potatoes out to lose some moisture before buttering them up. Home cooks can up their game by trying out different mashed potato recipes if they'd like. Just make sure you've got a lot of butter ready to whisk into your potatoes. While chefs may be considered culinary creatives, there's a lot of science in cooking, and this applies to cooking with butter too. Pro cooks who can successfully make a whole menu of dishes tend to know when to use salted butter and when to opt for unsalted. The regular butter you use every day to spread on your bread is probably salted. However, it'll be rare to find a restaurant kitchen that doesn't also stock unsalted butter. No good chef would not turn to unsalted butter for its creamy, more neutral flavor. Knowing when to use this is the key to why butter always tastes better when eating at a restaurant. When professional chefs bake, they want the right balance of ingredients to make cakes and cookies, without salt getting in the way. This is certainly true when butter is added to a dish that contains delicately flavored ingredients. Salt is a fabulous flavor enhancer, but it's not supposed to be the overriding taste. Chefs do cook with salted butter too, but only for certain dishes. The salt boosts the savory flavor of scrambled eggs and can lift every element of a stir-fried veggie dish. Ever notice how veggies always taste better at a restaurant? One of the reasons is that chefs know just how to butter up side dishes of vegetables. They want you to dig into bowls of carrots and green beans like you're scooping some candy onto your plate. The butter adds a lovely sweetness to veg, and it also adds a shiny veneer that makes the fresh colors really pop. Compare a plate of unbuttered veg with a glossy buttered one, and it's clear which one looks the most appetizing. Chefs don't just add a pat of butter on top either. They use butter to create a glaze, often adding other ingredients. A classic glaze that's used for carrots, for example, is butter combined with honey. The classic way to glaze is to drain off all but a couple of tablespoons of the water used for boiling vegetables. Add some butter to the liquid and let it melt, coating the vegetables and making sure every bite has a rich, buttery flavor. All that's needed then is a final flourish of seasoning. Instead of offering butter with bread rolls before a meal or using it to glaze veggies, a favorite way to serve it is as a dip. Who doesn't like the idea of dipping something into a pot of buttery goodness? And one dish that goes exceptionally well with butter dip is crab legs. But how do they do it? In some restaurants, that little pot of molten, buttery gold is literally just melted butter. It's called drawn butter, and sometimes it has other ingredients added, such as garlic or herbs. However, if you're eating at a fancy restaurant, you'll probably be served clarified butter. This is essentially butter fat and tastes so good. Chefs melt butter slowly so that the water burns off. They then strain the melted butter so that the milk solids that formed are removed. A fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth can separate the ingredients. In Indian restaurants, ghee, which is a type of clarified butter, is often made. If you love the creamy taste of butter, then you probably can't wait to spread a generous amount on a pre-dinner roll. Biting the soft, buttery texture of a warm, doughy roll really gets your appetite going. One of the reasons that butter always tastes better when eating at a restaurant is that it's given a more starring role on the dinner table. At Quality Bistro in Manhattan, butter is served as a centerpiece to be spread on a marble platter, with delicious ingredients like filone bread and cornichons to dip in. These boards can look like colorful depictions of culinary art, with butter being the all-important backdrop. This is an upmarket version of a butter board. This concept was pushed into foodie fashion via TikTok, and the beautifully designed butter board is definitely an Insta-worthy dish that's made for casual grazing with friends at a hip eatery. It's basically butter pats spread onto a board that's dotted with other delicious ingredients such as fruit and vegetables. Diners simply grab a piece of bread or a crudité and drag it across the butter so that it scoops up some of the creamy deliciousness. There are plenty of tips online for making the perfect butterboard at home if you can't wait until you eat out.